Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance. So sit back, relax and enjoy some satisfying stories. You want a meeting to discuss our phone account? Okay, let's have a meeting. For the past few years, our business has been receiving telemarketing calls from an offshore call center trying to make appointments for Optus Business Center. Every time they call, we'd politely tell them we were not interested and to remove us from their list, and they'd promise to not call again. You can probably tell by my use of the words every time that having ourselves removed from the list didn't work. It didn't work the first time and it didn't work the 50th time. Offshore are cheap and get paid per appointment, so they would get quite aggressive. It was clear that a new strategy needed to be found as it was taking too long to get them to go away. So began my campaign of malicious compliance / petty revenge. Hi, we're calling from Optus Business Center, and we can save you 40% on your mobile phone bill. Can we come and see you tomorrow at 11 AM? You can save 40% of my mobile bill? That's like 60 grand a month. What? How many phones do you have? 150 or so that I'm responsible for directly, plus a few others. The appointment is quickly confirmed. The next day, a salesman calls me up. He's running early. Can we meet earlier? I refused. Our appointment is for 11 AM after all. 11 AM rolls around and in he walks. We sit down in reception and go through the greetings. I then ask if it's possible to make the telemarketing call stop now. He assures me that it is, and so I stand up, shake his hand and thank him for coming in. What? That's it? You could have said that over the phone. I point out that we did, many times, and it didn't work, and I hoped that this waste of his time, a 45-minute trip from Homebush to Sydney, would perhaps teach him to mend his ways. Over the past 2 years, they have sent out 5 different reps to see us. They call for meetings, we accept them, shine them on about the value of the account, and they roll in to be greeted by me dressed in a chicken suit, made to wait in our meeting room for 20 minutes before being asked to be removed from the list, being turned away at the door. They sent 2 reps that time. I'm posting this today because it was visit number 6 and it was the best yet. We got a repeat customer. I sat him down in the meeting room and played the video recording of our last meeting. Is that you? Yes, it's me. Didn't I follow up? Did we have a good meeting? I point out that I certainly enjoyed our last meeting and zoomed forward into the video to the part where I explained that we didn't have 500 mobile accounts and he needed to please remove us from their list, and you could see his heart break. Which it did again, once he realized that whatever account he thought was being discussed today was not going to be discussed. Which we also have on video, so we can all go to Inception if/when he shows his face again. It's quite ironic that people who work in telecommunication don't have very good, communication. He also put a picture of him in the chicken suit and it is amazing. Well, it's kind of a duck, but it's still good. Received a warning about poor customer experience scores, so I waived over $27,000 in credit card fees in 3 days. I used to work for Capital One, doing early stage collections, account with less than 30 days late on their payment, still active. It was all on an auto dialer and we only made outbound calls. So basically you just sit there for 7.5 hours, making probably 200 short calls per shift, maybe 5 to 10 short conversations per hour. Nothing too deep, and usually everything was resolved in one call. The goal was to get a pay by phone, and we'd get modest bonuses if we collected enough payments. We weren't allowed to get tough or do the kind of tactics they do in late stage and recoveries collections. It was just a sweetheart reminder call to please make a payment. Even then, I'm sure you can imagine that the calls sometimes got heated on the other end. You don't take it personally, and most of the time it's actually kind of funny. But I'd still get in trouble with quality because I wouldn't try hard enough to de-escalate the call. My philosophy was, if someone gets ticked off, they aren't going to pay me anyway. So just let them vent while in the meantime, I read a graphic novel at my desk. Capital One expected us to use tools to calm people down, like offering one-time fee waivers and stuff like that. But for me, it never usually got that far, and before I knew it, they hung up and I was on a new call. I was pretty relaxed on the job, and my numbers weren't good enough to ever earn a bonus, and I knew eventually they'd fire me if I didn't improve. I really didn't have my heart in it, and I knew it was only a matter of time. Anyway, I managed to rack up a verbal, written, and final warning, and based on the frequency of the warnings, which was about 1 per month for 3 consecutive months, the fastest they are allowed, I knew that I probably had about 4 weeks left at the most. I was feeling pretty done with the job and ready to move on, so I finally started using my tools to try and improve my customer experience, the corporate buzzwords at the time. I knew that the quality department didn't read our screens remotely and only listened to calls, and the only way they would audit an account was if there was a problem or complaint. So, every single customer I spoke with got a $35 past due fee and a $29 over limit fee waived. Most accounts would have both fees somewhere in their previous statements, and I'd waive fees even if they didn't make arrangements and even if they screamed and cussed at me. I assumed nobody would find out until long after I had been fired, if then. After the first day went by and nobody said anything, I really went wild with it and started waiving fees on voicemail and disconnect calls. Hey, is so-and-so home? No? Okay, no message. Thanks. 2 fees waived. That sort of thing all day long. Long story short, I was fired a week later when they got the report that I didn't know existed. In the office with HR and my manager, they showed me that I had managed to waive over $27,000 in fees in 3 days. With my history of warnings, they gave me a huge lecture and such a smug attitude, as if I was a thief or had done something immoral that would keep me out of heaven. The official reason for my termination on their little form was, did not comply with customer experience. I still laugh about that. So, if you remember a few years back seeing 2 unexplained fee waivers on your account, I hope you enjoyed that customer experience. $27,000 in fees though, that's a lot for 3 days. We have to lock our bathroom doors? Fine, we'll lock our bathroom doors. In the city of Long Beach, there is a law that every establishment has to have a lock on their bathroom door, so only customers can have access. This is to fight the homeless population, so they have nowhere to go to the bathroom and have to leave the area. Needless to say, this is a huge pain in the butt if you are downtown homeless or not. A lot of places don't have public restrooms, and when you go there and have to use the restroom, you have to walk around to find a place to use, such as the downtown bus stop bathrooms. I wasn't in Long Beach for a while, but came back to visit and went to Starbucks and asked them for the code to open the door, and they told me it was on the lock. I looked in, and sure enough, the security code was taped to the lock, so no longer do you have to wait in line to get the freaking code or go somewhere else. I'm like 90% certain I saw someone take a picture of this and put it on the r/notmyjob subreddit, which I do on my other channel, Fake Jake, if you're not already subscribed over there. But in all fairness, it does work. Send in a shoddy application and tell me to just make do? You got it. So this just happened today. First, a little bit of backstory and context. I work for an agency that specializes in disaster relief. I'm basically a professional nitpicker, and it works like this. When a town or city or some other place suffers some kind of disaster and want to get reimbursed for damages and repair expenses and the like, they contact us and send in an application. This application has to include certain types of documents in order to be eligible for any funding, and some of those documents have to be laid out in a certain way. For example, if you have to hire a bunch of laborers to help clear debris or something, you have to tell me who worked how many hours on which day, how much they were paid per hour, how much they were paid in total, that sort of thing. If your application gets to me and doesn't have all of the bells and whistles, one of three things happens. Your application is rejected, your application is sent up the chain minus whatever I can't validate, meaning you get less money than what you were originally asking to be reimbursed for, or I send it back to you to be reworked. I usually do everything I can to avoid the first two because I know how hard it can be to recover from a disaster when you have to pay for stuff out of your own pocket. But today I made an exception, courtesy of some good old-fashioned malicious compliance. So I get this new project. It lands on my desk with a thud. It's an application from a small rural town of only a few hundred people that was heavily damaged by severe rains and flooding. Trees knocked over, power lines destroyed, homes carried off their foundations, you name it. They got hit real bad, and they're applying for over 20 grand in reimbursement. Anyway, I'm passing through it, going through my checklist, making sure everything is in order. About 5 seconds in, I realized that whoever put this garbage pile of a project together either didn't know what they were doing or didn't care enough to find out. Shoddy or missing paperwork, broken files, incoherent notes and add-ons, you name it. So I make a list of all the things that are wrong with the project and call up the project supervisor. In other words, the guy the town hired to put the application together, to see if he and I could work together to fix them. I tell him that I won't be able to validate the project for the full dollar amount with what I've been given, but the guy cuts me off, calls my competence, intelligence, and professional integrity into question, accuses me of trying to stiff the town, and calls me several choice names. He ends by saying I'd better make do with what I'd been given, and that it's not his job to do anything more than what he's already done. I'm ticked, but I hang up the phone and go talk to the boss. I ask the boss what I should do. I already know what he's going to say, but I wanted to make sure I covered all my bases. Sure enough, he sympathizes, tells me to validate whatever costs I can and ignore the rest. I tell him that doing this will result in a drastic reduction in the amount of money the town receives. He tells me that it's not the agency's problem if the project supervisor refuses to cooperate. Malicious compliance activated. I go back to my desk. I do exactly as the boss instructed. I validate what costs I can and ignore the rest. I darned well make do with what the project supervisor has given me, just like he said. It amounts to a little over $5,000. I double check my work, then triple check it before kicking it up the chain for final review. The whole project was done and dusted by lunchtime. I'm also going to get an earful from the project supervisor, and I'm not disappointed. Around 2 in the afternoon, I get a call from him, and as soon as I pick up, he starts ranting at me. As soon as he does, I call the boss over. I tell him that my boss is on the line, and the boss basically tells the guy that it's his own stupid fault. The project supervisor doesn't care, and continues to scream at me. He says that I am trying to cheat him by leaving out the missing funds. When he finally pauses because he has to breathe, I smile and tell him that he'll just have to make do with what I've given him and that it's not my job to do anything more than what I've already done. I hang up before he can say anything else. Then I call the guy at the town city hall who hired the project supervisor to let him know what's happened and exactly who to blame. And since small town gossip spreads faster than the bubonic plague, I bet you anything that the project supervisor will find himself on the receiving end of the entire town's hatred by this time tomorrow. And he deserves it. Okay, you're literally asking for free money. Why would you not do it how they ask? You're getting free money. That's like the one thing that you would make sure you do perfectly. Oh, you accidentally paid too much for your 6-pack of beers? Let me fix that for you. So a couple of years ago, I was working in retail, and at one point we had a discount where you could get a 6-pack of beers for $5.30. This of course meant that each beer would cost 88 cents, and $5.30 divided by 6 is 88 cents. You get the point. So as I was working as a cashier at the time, a woman decided to come back a couple of minutes after paying for her groceries, in order to show me that she had accidentally paid $1 per beer, and not the 88 cents as promised. So I looked at the receipt and realized that she had in fact paid $1 for a beer. The thing she didn't realize was that she had only paid for one beer, and not the entire 6-pack by mistake. I then proceed to inform her that she was correct, but I can see that you had accidentally only paid for one beer and not the 6-pack. I then proceeded to fix the mistake and told her, "That will be $4.30 please." She seemed a bit embarrassed and decided to just pay the amount without saying much, but I had a great laugh and enjoyed the rest of my shift. Edit, for clarity, she left the store with the 6-pack for $1, but then returned because she thought she had paid $1 per bottle and therefore wanted money back. Yeah, at first I was like, oh, she was saying, oh, you've charged me too less, I want to pay more. But then the clarification of, oh, she was trying to get more money out of it, she just seems a bit stupid. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.